Conversations on the radio. If you want the latest, you can find it on the show. Conversations on radio. Conversations on radio. Conversations on radio. Conversations on radio.
Synopsis and who you are.
A doctor of clinical psychology, school psychologist, educator, kinsman of Frederick Douglass, and author of the book Psychoacademic Holocaust.
All right, thanks. Do you have any thoughts on what was just shared but from Ms. Jones?
Myself?
Yes.
Well, one thing that we know about Baltimore, and I learned this because I had a town hall meeting after the Baltimore Rebellion, and that is most of the police that work in Baltimore don't come from Baltimore. Baltimore is unique, not very unique, because we find this in a lot of inner cities that they like to hire not only white police, but white police who do not have any type of relationship or affiliation with the city where they're going to work. And I think that is strategically done for psychological reasons so that the police do not feel any remorse nor concern for the life that they are required to police. From a legal standpoint or programmatic standpoint, something needs to be done about that. It doesn't make any sense for any predominantly black community to have a police force that is excessively white when you have so many unemployed black men who do not have felonies, who could clearly be trained to police their own neighborhood. That right there is clearly a issue that can be dealt with and addressed, and it's something that the black community is going to have to put pressure not just on the politicians, but on the stakeholders in the community, the preachers, the business owners, the grassroots community organizers. These folks have the ability to put pressure on the politicians to change the policy that is hiring so many people from the outside who clearly have a racial agenda when they come into the city. The other thing I wanted to say, I was talking to a high-ranking police officer. This wasn't too long ago. And he told me that although you will not be able to find the evidence of it, that the murder, the mass murder of black men and black women as well by America's police has been ordered. He told me that this was by order from the federal government, that they wanted to reduce the amount of black men in this country. And the reason police are not being prosecuted for these crimes is because it is an act of the state. They are carrying out an agenda that's coming from the highest echelon of this country's government to reduce the population of black men. And the last thing I want to say on it is this. We got to recognize our role in this. And when I say that, I specifically am speaking to the fact that black people for 7 years sat by under this Obama hype, and we stopped pushing, we stopped pressing, we stopped demanding, we stopped agitating, and we stopped fighting for equality. And because we stopped fighting this uphill battle, the ball began to roll back down the hill and on our neck. So we have to look at the responsibility we play in this. We also have to look at the fact that when we do have these police murders, that we often leave the individual families out there, like the sister in studio tonight, to fight these battles on their own as it relates to bringing justice to the police. We will protest for a day. We will march for a day. We will protest for a moment. But we need to have movement, sustained movement. And specifically, there has to be a mass protest movement against the United States government for the police genocide against African people. It must be mass-based. It cannot be small. It must be city to city. It must be state to state. But most importantly, it must be sustained and protracted. It cannot last for a month like Ferguson. It cannot last for a week and a half like Baltimore. It has to be sustained. But the problem with sustained movements in black people is that we do not have a history of sustainability in the modern era, post-civil rights era. Most of us are not committed enough to black life to be part of a sustained movement where we would be expected to contribute our finances on a regular basis. That is our Achilles heel. Our Achilles heel is the lack of stick-to-itiveness and the lack of economic commitment over the long haul.
Conversations on the radio. If you want the latest, you can find it on the show. Conversations on radio.